You ever look at your phone and get that satisfying notification? Update complete. Your device is now faster and more secure. Now, imagine getting that for your own body. Wouldn't it be great to finally patch that bug that makes you trip over nothing? Or uninstall that feature where you forget what you were saying mid-sentence? Too bad. Human beings are basically running on legacy software. Today, we're digging into evolution's old features you can't uninstall. Let's get right into it. Number 1 is the Puffy-Jacket-for-Cavemen Reflex, otherwise known as goosebumps. You've felt it. A sudden chill runs down your spine, a creepy part of a movie plays, or you listen to a really, really good piece of music, and suddenly the skin on your arms is doing its best impression of a plucked chicken. Tiny little bumps pop up, and every hair stands at attention like it's just been yelled at by a drill sergeant. What is going on there? Well, your body is trying to save your life by making you slightly fluffier. Attached to each of your hair follicles is a teeny tiny muscle called the erector pili. When your brain's ancient, perpetually anxious security system detects a threat, like being cold or terrified, it sends a signal to contract all of these muscles at once. For our distant, much hairier ancestors, this was a brilliant two-in-one feature. If it was cold, fluffing up their fur would trap a layer of air close to the skin, creating a natural, insulated jacket. If a predator was nearby, puffing up their coat made them look bigger and more intimidating, like a cat hissing at a vacuum cleaner. For you, a modern, relatively hairless human, this feature is about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Your pathetic little arm hairs standing on end don't trap any meaningful amount of heat. And unless you're trying to scare off a very, very small squirrel, the looking bigger strategy isn't going to work. Your body is activating a million-year-old defense mechanism, and the only result is that you look mildly surprised and slightly chilly. It's the biological equivalent of your computer's fan kicking into overdrive when all you've done is open one browser tab. Number 2 is about your mouth's unwanted roommates, a wisdom teeth. Sometime in your late teens or early 20s, you may have experienced a special kind of misery. A deep, throbbing ache in the back of your jaw, as if something is trying to violently excavate its way out of your gums. Congratulations, you've discovered evolution's forgotten password reset. Your third molars, charmingly nicknamed wisdom teeth, have arrived, and they have absolutely nowhere to go. See, our ancient ancestors had bigger jaws. They spent their days chewing on tough roots, uncooked meat, and fibrous plants, the kind of diet that requires some serious grinding power. Their massive jaws had plenty of real estate for 3 full sets of molars. But then, we discovered fire. We started cooking our food, making it softer and easier to chew. Our brains got bigger, and our jaws, no longer needing to be a vice grip, started to shrink. Evolution, however, forgot to tell the teeth. They're still operating on the old floor plan. So now, these 4 bonus teeth try to erupt into a jaw that's already a full house. They come in sideways, they get stuck under the gums, they ram into your other teeth like a clumsy guest at a dinner party, knocking everything over. This is called impaction, and it's a beautiful source of pain, infection, and expensive dental surgery. You literally have to pay a professional to remove body parts that you were born with, simply because our evolutionary development team forgot to delete the source code for them. It's like getting a free, pre-installed app on your phone that you can't uninstall, and its only function is to occasionally set your phone on fire. All right, number 3 is the ancient tree climber tendon. Let's do a little experiment. Put your arm on a flat surface, palm up. Now, touch your pinky to your thumb and gently flex your wrist upward like you're admiring a new watch. See that little band that pops up in the middle of your wrist? That, my friend, is the palmaris longus tendon. Or maybe it isn't, because for about 15% of the population, it's just not there at all. And it makes absolutely no difference. This tendon connects a small, weak muscle in your forearm to the tough connective tissue in the palm of your hand. For our primate cousins and tree-dwelling ancestors, this muscle was a key player. It helped provide extra grip strength for climbing, dangling, and swinging through the canopy like a furry, fruit-obsessed acrobat. It was an essential piece of arboreal hardware. But as humans came down from the trees and started walking upright, our hands evolved for fine motor skills, like texting, holding a coffee cup, or gesturing wildly while telling a story, not for hanging off a branch for dear life. The Palmaris longus became obsolete. It's so useless, in fact, that when surgeons need to reconstruct a tendon elsewhere in the body, they often just harvest this one. It's a spare part. If you don't have it, it's not a defect. It just means your genetic code already hit the uninstall button. If you do have it, you're not any stronger. Your grip strength is statistically identical to someone without it. You just have a cool, vintage body part. It's like finding an old floppy disk drive on a brand new laptop. A fossilized piece of tech that serves no purpose other than to remind you of a time when things were very, very different. Up next at number 4, we have the gut's explosive backup drive, more commonly known as the appendix. For decades, this little worm-shaped pouch attached to your large intestine was the poster child for useless evolutionary leftovers. Doctors believed it was a remnant of an organ our herbivorous ancestors used to digest tough plant matter, like cellulose. As our diets changed, the organ shrank into a dead-end street in your digestive tract, doing nothing but occasionally getting inflamed and trying to kill you. This is appendicitis, the body's most famous and life-threatening tantrum. However, modern science has slightly upgraded the appendix's reputation from completely useless to mostly useless, but has one niche function. Researchers now believe it acts as a safe house for your good gut bacteria. When you get a nasty stomach bug that causes, let's say, a system-wide flush, your appendix can harbor a sample of your healthy microbiome. Once the coast is clear, these bacteria can emerge from their bunker and repopulate your gut, restoring order. So it's not a useless organ, it's a backup drive for your intestines. But here's the kicker. This backup drive has a catastrophic design flaw. It can become blocked, infected, and rupture, spilling its contents into your abdomen and causing a fatal infection. In the modern world, with sanitation and probiotics, we can easily recover our gut flora without this biological panic room. Yet, the appendix remains, like a highly sensitive smoke detector that's also a grenade. It might, theoretically, be helpful one day, but it's far more likely to just blow up your kitchen for no good reason. Thank you, evolution, for the pre-installed organ that has a non-zero chance of exploding. Let's talk about number 5, your inner tadpole's last words, also known as hiccups. There is no human experience more universally annoying and pointless than a bout of hiccups. It starts without warning. Your diaphragm, the big muscle under your lungs that controls your breathing, decides to have a sudden, involuntary spasm. This causes you to sharply inhale, but at the exact same moment, your vocal cords snap shut. The result is that iconic, ridiculous sound, hic. You try drinking water upside down, holding your breath, getting someone to scare you, all in a desperate attempt to reboot a system that has clearly crashed. So, what ancient, evolutionary ghost is possessing your respiratory system? Scientists believe that hiccups are a leftover reflex from our extremely distant, water-dwelling ancestors. We're talking about the evolutionary stage of amphibians. A tadpole, for instance, has both gills and lungs. It needs to be able to pump water over its gills to breathe, while simultaneously closing the opening to its lungs, the glottis, to keep water out. The nerve pathway and muscle spasm that accomplishes this is identical to a human hiccup. You are, in essence, performing the first step of gill breathing. Your brain is sending a signal down the phrenic nerve, the same signal that would tell a tadpole to gulp water. But you don't have gills. So your diaphragm contracts, your glottis slams shut, and you just sit there, making a sound like a broken toy. This reflex is so deeply embedded in our brainstem that it's one of the first things a fetus does in the womb. It's a primal, useless motor pattern that evolution just never cleaned up. So next time you have the hiccups, just remember. Your body is having a brief, profound identity crisis and trying to remember how to breathe underwater. At number 6, we have the primate parachute reflex. Anyone who has ever handled a newborn baby knows this move. You're gently laying your perfectly calm, sleeping infant down in their crib. But maybe you move a little too fast, or their head tilts back ever so slightly. Suddenly, their eyes fly open, they fling their arms and legs out wide, and then curl them back in, often accompanied by a lung-busting scream. This is the Morrow reflex, and it is your baby's built-in and now utterly useless emergency parachute. For the infants of our primate ancestors, this reflex was a lifesaver. Primate babies spend their early lives clinging to their mother's fur as she moves around, climbs, and jumps from branch to branch. If the baby felt a sudden sense of falling or a loss of support, the Morrow reflex would kick in. Throwing their limbs out and then clenching them inwards was a desperate, automatic attempt to grab a fistful of mom's fur and regain their grip. It was the "don't let me fall out of this tree" instinct. Now consider the modern human baby. They are born into a world of soft blankets, stationary cribs, and parents who are, for the most part, not swinging through the jungle canopy. The biggest danger they face is being put down on a mattress, yet their nervous system is still running this ancient software. The feeling of being lowered, the change in balance, it triggers the same panic signal. Their brain screams, "We're falling," and activates the emergency grab onto mom protocol. The only problem is, there's nothing to grab. The reflex just startles them awake, makes them cry, and ruins a perfectly good nap. It's an alarm system, designed for a treetop, that now only serves to wake the entire house at 3 a.m. Finally, at number 7, we have the ghost of your missing tail. If you trace your spine all the way down to the very end, you'll find the coccyx, more famously known as the tailbone. This little triangular bone is actually 3 to 5 tiny, fused vertebrae, and it is, quite literally, the stump of the tail you don't have. Our primate ancestors, like most mammals, had tails. They were crucial for balance when navigating tree branches and for social signaling, much like a dog's tail today. As our ancestors began walking on 2 legs, the need for a tail to help with balance vanished. Over millions of years, it shrank away until all that was left was this small, internal nubbin. Today, your coccyx serves as an anchor point for a few minor muscles and ligaments, helping to support the pelvic floor. But let's be honest, its main job seems to be a source of the most exquisite and blinding pain known to humankind if you happen to slip and fall on it. It serves no major function you couldn't live without, but it will remind you of its existence with ferocious agony if you give it the chance. It's a ghost limb, a tiny, bony monument to our long-lost wiggle. While in rare cases, babies can be born with a small, soft tail extending from the coccyx, a condition called a caudal appendage. For the rest of us, it's just there. It's evolution's parting gift. A final, useless set of bones to let you know where the party used to be. You can't wag it, you can't swing from it, but you can definitely fall on it and spend the next 6 weeks regretting every chair you sit on. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.